Hello, this is my second video in the series that I'm calling Finance Explained, where I talk about different financial terms and explain what they are. In the first video I asked for suggestions on what I could talk about, and someone I know, a friend of mine, suggested that I talk about risk-neutral probability. And it's not a word that's used in the newspapers, but I want to talk about it anyway because it's very important, because it actually determines how you price stocks and how you price things that are risky. So first of all, let's start with this example. Someone offers you a gamble. You can flip a coin. If it comes up heads, then you win £100, and if it comes up tails, then you win nothing. So the question is, if someone offers you £50 outright, you can either take the £50 or you can take the gamble between £100 and nothing. Would you take the £50? Well, the expected return on that gamble is £50, because there's a 50% chance of getting £100 and there's 50% chance of getting nothing, so 50% of £100 is £50. So if someone offered you £50 and you were risk neutral, as in you don't worry about risk, you just worry about expected returns, then you wouldn't know which one to choose. Half the time you'd take the £50 and half the time you would take the gamble. Now with most people, if you offered them that choice, they would take the £50. In fact, if you offered some people £40, they would still take the £40. Now, if you take that from a risk-neutral point of view, that's slightly mad, because if you take the gamble, you expect to get more than the £50 than the £40 that you've just been offered. And you can actually take that down, maybe £30, maybe £25. People would rather have the cash in their hand than risk going away with nothing. Now, that is known as risk-averse behaviour. And that's typical. That's how people tend to react. They tend to avoid taking risks in favour of having things in their hand. But then sometimes people go the other way. If you offered them the £50 and the gamble, they would rather take the gamble. In fact, if you offered them £60 cash in hand and the choice between gambling between £100 and nothing, they'd still rather take the gamble. And that's known as risk-seeking behaviour. So an example of that would be playing the lottery, for example, or just any kind of taking part in any kind of professional gambling situation, maybe if it's on sport or something else, because you actually expect to lose more than you put in the first place. But then, of course, if you take the risk and it pays off, you're still better off. So that's risk-seeking behaviour. An example of risk-averse behaviour would be having a savings account. Because technically what you could do is you could take all the money in your savings account, invest it in stocks and shares, and you would expect to get more back than if you just left it in the savings account. And actually the reason why that is because the price of a stock, the price of a share, tends to be a lot lower than it should be, given the amount that you expect to get back on that. And the reason for that is that it's risky. You might lose that money. So the price just keeps coming down until people are willing to pay for the risk that they're taking. So that's risk-averse behaviour, and that's why things on the stock market are priced the way they are. They're not priced based on how much you expect to get. It's a combination of how much you expect to get and how much risk you're taking. So that is the difference between risk-neutral behaviour, risk-averse behaviour, which is what most people are like, and risk-seeking behaviour, of which there are people who are risk-seeking. So yes, it's very important for finance, because you can't just price things very simply. You have to take into account a lot of factors. But there is another point to this, which is, why are most people risk-averse? And it turns out that they've actually done experiments on this. There is a part of your brain called the amygdala. It's very small, it's almond-shaped, and it's connected with memory and emotional connections. And they found out that if you knock it out, and my professor was telling me this, I don't remember how he said he knocked it out, whether it was with a chemical or with an electric shock or something. They can knock it out, not permanently, it lasts for about 15 minutes, but if you knock out the amygdala, people become instantly risk neutral, which means if you offered them the choice between the £50 and the gamble, they'd be completely indifferent. They may as well say, "Oh, I'll just take the gamble. Why not?" If you offer them £49, they say, "No, I'm not going to take the £49. I'll take the gamble. I expect to get more." If you offer them £51, they say, "Yeah, I'll take the £51. Absolutely, that's way more than I would expect to get on that gamble." And then 15 minutes later, they're back to normal again. But it's not that they don't remember that they acted like that. It's more of a continuous thing where your approach to risk can change all the time, depending on changes in the brain. It's very interesting, and that's So if you didn't have the amygdala, everyone would be risk neutral all the time, and the price of stocks would go up to match how much you would expect to get in return. Anyway, so that is the essence of being risk neutral. Most people are risk averse, some people are risk seeking, and I hope that's cleared that up. If not, please get in touch and please suggest other topics that I can talk about in finance, and hopefully we'll keep this thing going. It's going really good. Okay, thank you very much.